Good evening. Welcome to the November 22nd, 2022 regular in-person and virtual board meeting. Before we call tonight's meeting to order, Dr. McGarry, will you educate the public on how to participate in tonight's meeting, sir? Thank you.
Yes, thanks for everybody being here tonight. We have a little bit of an unusual set of circumstances. We had to move the typically scheduled legislative meeting from earlier in November because it was election night to tonight. So this evening, the first portion of this evening's meeting will be our regularly scheduled November 8th legislative meeting. For that to participate, those who are in person would have had to have signed up early to speak at the end for general comment, or you can speak for 3 minutes at each report. Please come to the microphone, provide your name, your address, and the specific report that you're commenting on. At legislative meetings, board meetings, it's comment only. It is not a back and forth occur at the committee meetings. So those who would like to speak during a report, please come to the microphone, provide your name and address and the specific agenda item in the report you'd like to comment on. You have 3 minutes. The board will take that into consideration before moving forward. For general comment, the board will call you to the microphone in the order that you signed in. For those that are in person, please give your name and address, and then you can make your general comment for no more than 3 minutes. Those who are participating virtually this evening can participate one of two ways. If you wanted to provide your comments for general comment, you would have had to have sent your comments in prior to the 6 o'clock start this evening at the email boardmeetingcomments@upperdarby.sd.org. Again, address and the specific comment you'd like to leave, and we would take that into consideration. If you would like to comment on a specific report, you can do the same thing via the same email address. Identify the report, your name and address, and your comment will be provided. We'll read that as part of the record before moving forward. Those who would like to phone it in can do so at 610-789-7200, extension 2000. Again, please provide your name and address, the specific report you'd like to comment on, and the board will read that and take that into action into third thoughts before moving forward. Following these meetings, we will have our normally scheduled committee meetings, Education and Pupil Services and Finance and Operations. I'll review the process and procedures for that just so that the folks that are here know our legislative meeting first. After we honor our students, if you want to go home from that, we won't be offended. That typically happens. Then we'll move forward with our meetings, and I'll provide an update throughout the night. Board President Brown.
Thank you, Dr. McGarry. The regular in-person and virtual meeting of the Upper Darby School District Board of School Directors will please come to order. There was a closed session on November 21st, 2021 from 5 p.m. until 6:10 p.m. for matters to be discussed within the limitations for closed deliberations as prescribed by Pennsylvania Act 93 of 1998. For this evening's meeting, there were personnel and litigation matters. Roll call, Board Secretary, Mr. Rogers, please.
Dr. Haig.
Present.
Mr. Desnoyers.
Present.
Mr. Neal. Present. Mr. Warsavage.
Present.
Ms. Murphy Morrissey. Ms. Williams. Ms. Mitchell.
Present.
Mr. Fields.
Present.
Mr. Brown.
Present. The district posted this evening's agenda to board docs at least 24 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting. Is there a motion to approve that previously posted agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to offer?
Yes, Board President Brown, there were two typographical errors in the personnel report. Dr. Council took care of those, and they've been updated.
Thank you. Will anyone move to add the described items to the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
The agenda with the approved amendments has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. The minutes of the combined work session and regular meeting of October 11, 2022, and the special meeting of October 25, 2022 are in the hands of each board member and have been made available to the public. I move for their adoption.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. The report of the secretary is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption. Are there any comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. Motion carried. The report of the treasurer, Director Neal.
Thank you, President Brown. The report of the treasurer is in the hands of each board member. It's been made available to the public, and I move for its adoption.
Second.
Are there any comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. And now we'll have the student representatives report by Salma Kofra and Khalid Gulat.
Good evening, Upper Darby School Board members and Upper Darby community. This month, I had the opportunity to visit 3 elementary schools. I had the opportunity to speak with principals, observe a few classes, and talk with teachers. I touched base with them on various topics, including how the schools have implemented techniques from neurologic into the school community. The principal of Hillcrest Elementary, Ms. Campbell, mentioned a sensory room that's currently in the works. This would be an excellent resource for students when teachers feel that they are having a hard time and need to regulate. Ms. Campbell also spoke to me about her goals for the school year, which included getting students adjusted to being back in the building for learning and improving the school culture. A 5th grade teacher I spoke to also explained the calming corners that have been implemented into each and every classroom, giving students the opportunity to reset or take a break when needed. Another goal of Ms. Campbell's was building student-teacher relationships, and I believe that the calming corners would be a good idea to implement in other classrooms to help build those relationships. Both Mr. Bridges at Gariford and Mr. Highland at Charles Kelly had similar thoughts about improving the school's culture, getting more parent engagement, and getting students caught up both academically and socially due to lost time caused by the pandemic. Charles Kelly has also implemented these calming corners and utilizing other resources with Neurologic. Mr. Highland described how Neurologic has been helping staff understand how to deal with student trauma using classroom regulation plans, as well as to help students and teachers understand what might happen if a social or emotional trigger is experienced. Mr. Bridges mentioned how helpful having the CGRC clinician present in the school helps address trauma and get students back on track. I was also able to speak with Ms. Thompson, a reading specialist at Charles Kelly, and she introduced me to a program that was recently implemented by the school called the 5th grade buddy system. The 5th grade students I spoke to started to tell me about their role and the importance of the buddy program. They were really eager to speak about it and talked about wanting to help kids who didn't speak the same language as them and give them motivation to do their work and persevere and provide them with confidence. Overall, all the visits were extremely positive, and I am very thankful to all the principals for allowing me to visit their schools.
Good evening. Like Selma, in the past few weeks, I had the chance to visit Stonehurst Hills, Bywood, and Highland Park elementary schools. During each visit, I had the opportunity to tour each school and interact with both students and teachers at their respective buildings. The first school I visited was my alma mater, Highland Park Elementary School. There, I met with Mrs. DeVito, the building's outstanding principal, who showed me around the school and gave me her thoughts. She spoke of the clear and concise communication between her and her staff while also demonstrating firsthand the kind and caring relationship she has with them. Mrs. DeVito also advocates for the teachers and believes our teachers do their best to reach excellence in education. Mrs. Meehan at Bywood and Mrs. Wallace at Stonehurst Hills echoed similar sentiments regarding having teachers of excellence throughout our elementary schools across the district. Even though we are another year removed from the pandemic, teachers express how challenging it is to continue teaching their kids while trying to overcome the impact students being in virtual instruction and deficits that it has created. These issues aren't just affecting our elementary schools, as the lingering effects are also seen in our secondary schools. Though the resources provided by Lakeside Neurologic, teachers have been able to address trauma-induced behavioral issues, which will eventually help our students grow academically as well. Throughout my visits to each elementary school, the students I interacted with seemed to be happy and demonstrated an eagerness to learn. Even though they have been through a lot, these students come to put in work every day, day in and day out. One way a teacher at Bywood accomplishes to build better student-teacher relationships is by creating a house system inspired by the Ron Clark Academy in Georgia and Harry Potter, in which she sorts her students into houses representing certain character traits that the students should embody. Our teachers and staff remain for the numerous moments they share with their students and fellow staff members, and it is up to us to keep this ideal school environment strong within our schools, and the positivity these students bring is key to the success of the Upper Darby School District. Thank you for letting us share. Thank you for letting us share about some of the wonderful things that are taking place in our elementary schools this year.
Salma and Khalid, thank you again for your excellent reports. We'll give you a round of applause. The budgeted personnel and enrollment reports have been made available to the board and the public and are recorded as part of the record. No vote is required. And now we'll have the report of the superintendent by Dr. Dan McGarry.
Since our students made this podium, I like to try to use it and speak from it. Great job, as always, the two of you. I appreciate it. When you get a chance to talk to Mrs. Meehan at Biowood again, she's a big fan of the Ron Clark Academy. He's a guy from North Carolina. And this idea of putting you in a house system a certain way. We don't always agree with that concept, but she's very proud of it, so it's great to hear that you've had that interaction at Biowood. A lot of positive things happening throughout the school district. I appreciate you guys sharing that each month. Good evening, Board President Brown. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with everybody tonight. I'm going to provide an update. Typically this time of the year, it'd be a much longer superintendent's report that I would give. But really, my focus this evening, and all the families and the community members that are here, it's going to be on celebrating our music program, our band, which I'm very proud of to celebrate tonight, our young authors that we have in the school district, and our student athletes. So good evening, Board President Brown, members of the board, administration, teachers, staff, students, parents, and members of the community. I hope my screen will go faster than everybody else's. First, as I said, please join me in congratulating the success of our new band director, who's in the back of the room. He probably doesn't know I'm going to say this about him, Mr. Doug Ballard. Mr. Ballard went through a very arduous interview process last year prior to joining our team. When I attend Upper Darby High School football games, I love listening to the band play our new fight song. I don't know how much joy you know that brings to me when I hear that, but it means a lot that you wrote that and put that together. Mr. Ballard, our band students and our band parents put in countless hours of practice. And as a result, they've had a very successful year. Listen to these accomplishments. On October 24th, 2022, the Marching Royals went to Downingtown West High School to compete in the U.S. Band's Pennsylvania State Championships. While the Marching Royals scored an 86.9 in the 3A competitive class. That's how successful they were. During the competition, the band also received high percussion and music caption awards. To top it all off, the Marching Royals were then crowned PA State champions in their class. This win also comes with the Royals scoring as the highest in the entire A-class competitive field. Yep, congratulations. On November 7th, the Marching Royals compete in the U.S. Band's National Championships. Our supervisor of art, who's in the back of the room, I think, if he can step into the room, he's kind of shy back there, Mr. Chris Lashley, sent an email. I don't know if you're aware of this, Mr. Ballard, but sent this email on the evening following your success. You could feel his enthusiasm through the email, and shared with us that the band competed against other schools from across the country and finished in 5th place in the nation within their classification with an adjudication score of 90.3%. The band showed a 21.8-point growth, and we know how we are about growth, this season in the areas of musicianship, music selection, and creativity. I am told, through Mr. Lashley, that we are in the top 5 schools within all 3 points. So what I understand is that the top 5 schools were within 3 points of one another, which is pretty amazing. So congratulations to you, Mr. Ballard. If you can come up here, if there's some band parents or students, if you can come up, that'd be great. I'm going to give you a certificate, and as you come up, I'll hand you the certificate, and Board President Brown and Vice President Fields. The certificate reads, Upper Darby School District proudly presented to the Upper Darby High School Marching Royals in recognition of achieving a PA State Championship, placing 5th overall and earning 2nd place in overall music in the 2022 U.S. Band's National Competition on November 22nd, 2022. So congratulations. I also understand you're holding it here that Mike Zabel, Representative Zabel, had you guys go up and be recognized in Harrisburg this past
Yes, and
year.
I brought a copy of this citation actually to present to Mr. Brown, so that you can have a copy of the state citation from the House of Representatives.
Congratulations.
It's like the King and I are supposed to crouch down. You know the King and I, you know that reference? No? It's a shame. Now we'll move on to our young authors and the 2022 Annual Young Playwrights and Monologue Festival. So first, congratulations, and if you're here, if you can come up and stand up, and I'll give you your certificate in a moment. Congratulations to Sylvia Langston of Drexel Hill Middle School in recognition of earning first place in the play titled Bringing Home the Bacon in the 2022 Annual Playwriting and Monologue Festival. Congratulations. You can clap. Lilia Bishop of Drexel Hill Middle School in recognition of earning second place for the play titled Stolen Secrets in the 2022 Annual Playwriting and Monologue Festival. Not here yet? No? Okay. We'll give it to her when she can. A current ninth grader, but was in eighth grade last year, Cassidy Martinez, if Cassidy is here, of Drexel Hill Middle School at the time, in recognition of earning third place for the piece titled Wheel with the Devil in the 2022 Annual Playwriting and Monologue Festival. Congratulations to Cassidy. If you're here, come on up. I know that Sylvie would like a partner here in a second. Maybe Board President Brown and Don, Mr. Fields will stand with Sylvia so she doesn't feel like she's alone on stage. Mia Lazar, who's in ninth grade now of Drexel Hill Middle School, submitted 2 different monologues and earned second place for her monologue piece, Plain as Day, as the 2022 Annual Young Playwright Monologue Festival, and third place for her monologue piece, Protect Your Soul, in the 2022 Annual Playwriting and Monologue Festival. If Mia is here, you can come up as well. We can clap for her. No? Josiah Marker of Drexel Hill Middle School and earning recognition of second place in the monologue contest at the 2022 Annual Young Playwright Festival. I don't know if Josiah is here. No? Okay. Sure. And Denaya Adderley of Drexel Hill Middle School in recognition of earning third place in the monologue contest at the 2022 Annual Playwrights Festival. I don't know if she's here or not. No? Okay. Is this all right? Now on to the DCIU 2022 Veterans Project Day Award winners. Nasifa Arna of Beverly Hills Middle School in recognition of earning second place and earned $250 prize in the 2022 Veterans Day Essay Contest sponsored by the Delaware County Intermediate Unit. I don't know if Nasifa is here. No? Okay, congratulations. And Lucy McGill of Drexel Hill Middle School in recognition of third place with a $150 prize in the 22 Veterans Day process. All right. Fall sports. I want to say congratulations. I think, is Russell Bennett in the back? If Russ can come in for a second. Russ is our new athletic director this year. Yeah, don't step away yet. I think to the band parents and to the athletes, it's been a rough year here at the high school with the track and the field. And I just want to say compliments to you, Russell. I know oftentimes when you're in your position in administration, a principal or a supervisor, you often have to deal with people like me, and you can't get all the information all the time. And it's been a very, very difficult athletic season here at the high school and for the band and the band parents. And I want to say thank you for your stewardship, taking it on the chin and managing the athletic program here at the high school, given some of the uncertainty with the high school track and field. That's a very difficult position to be in your first year as an athletic director. So I want to say thank you, and thank you under your leadership and the coaches that are here and the athletes that are here. We've been recognized for the Upper Darby High School was selected for the overall Central League Sportsmanship Award. So why don't you come up, Russell? Matt, Principal Matt Alloway. Dr. Alloway. I think Dr. Alloway is in the hallway. And if there are any coaches that are here with us right now, why don't you come on up and get a picture as well? Yes, I see you, and I see you sitting down. If there's any coaches that are here, come on up and get a picture. Don and Ed, why don't you get a picture with them? I'll stay out of this one. I also understand that the football team had a Suburban 1 recognition for their sportsmanship as well. So congratulations to the football team and to the athletic program. And if our athletic director and cross-country coach can remain, everybody else can get off, except for the board can get off stage. Ed, you could stay. I'm now going to recognize the Upper Darby High School cross-country. The following 2 students placed in the top 100 runners, among the top 100 runners, and were top 30 in District 1 championships. So I apologize if I'm not perfect on the names, but Lorelei Golembuski and Gabriella Freeland. If you're here, please come up and be recognized for your talents.
So I just wanted to acknowledge that the banquet that I went to for cross country was excellent. The coaches did an amazing job, and they just did an amazing job. My daughter's also on the team, but as a freshman, and she was just blown away with the quality of the coaching and the success that she had, and inspired by the seniors. We have seniors that are just amazing. I think one's a junior and one's a senior, but amazing athletes, and they set a record, right? The fastest time ever in that event. So I think a round of applause, you know. And the coach did such a great job at the banquet. She had a paragraph that she read about every student on the team, a unique paragraph about every student on the team, and it was unique to their skill set and very encouraging, and I was just impressed by the whole thing. The event was amazing, so I just wanted to add that. Thanks.
Also, I'll go through some of our All-Central recognitions, and then we'll get to some of our athletes who've been signed for college. But as I call the All-Central recognition, if you're here, if we could hold our applause, have them come up, and we'll take their picture together. But Upper Darby High School girls soccer, second team All-Central, Gerlin Verk and Chisharandra Jones. I don't know if they're both here. They might not be here. Good job listening, by the way. Thank you for not clapping yet. Upper Darby High School, Neil, be careful. Upper Darby High School girls honorable mention soccer All-Central League. And I think Aubrey Patterson, if I'm not mistaken, who's an excellent softball, baseball player too, was recognized last year as a freshman. But Aubrey Patterson, honorable mention All-Central, and Kayla Ward, honorable mention All-Soccer girls. If you're here, come on up. Boys soccer, second team All-Central. Shane Soley and Alia Sullivan. By any chance, any here? No? Okay. Upper Darby High School boys soccer, honorable mention, All-Central League, Juan Alivar and Sulkafal Shakur. No? Okay. Field hockey, second team All-Central, Upper Darby High School, Casey McGee. Casey McGee also received honorable mention All-Central for volleyball, 2 sports in the same season, All-Central recognition, Casey McGee. Not here? Okay. I think some of the folks are here because I recognize some grandparents that are here that I've had emails back and forth, and the next group, and some moms that I've known for many years going back to Lanark Hills that are in the room. So these student athletes can come forward, and then we'll have, after you get a picture with the board, your family that's here to get a picture and get recognition as well, because we know that a whole family goes into this. But Chris Zupito for baseball is going on a partial baseball scholarship to North Carolina State. That's a big, big deal to make it to that level to play baseball, Division I baseball there. I know his coach is here. If you want to stand up and be recognized as well, he's going to NC State on a partial baseball scholarship. Brian Fitzpatrick, I know, is in the room if he wants to come forward. Is also going to baseball to play baseball at Cabrini. So congratulations. And then Mary Kate, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm going to take the opportunity to say I go back and forth with your grandfather in emails a lot, a lot. And he's here tonight. When I heard that you were involved, I sent an email to your grandfather congratulating him. We won't always agree back and forth in our email exchanges. I do appreciate the fact that it takes a whole family to be there. So Mary Kate, congratulations for your partial scholarship, as I understand, to Davis and Elkins for lacrosse. So come on up. So Don and Ed, if you can get a picture, and then you'll be happy to know the parents that are here just for that. You'll be able to get out of here soon if you choose to. I just want to close tonight by saying we have so much to be thankful for here in the Upper Darby School District, as exemplified tonight by the hard work of the parents, the staff, the students, and the families here of the Upper Darby School District, and the support of our Board of School Directors. It's that time of the year where we're supposed to give thanks. We thought it would be best to recognize our kids and to show how thankful we are for all of you and what you bring to the school district. So Board President Brown, this concludes my report this evening, and I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving.
All right, looks like we're ready to resume. Thank you for your attention. And Dr. McGarry, thank you for that excellent report. I know that's one of the things you love doing is honoring our students, so you always are very enthusiastic when you do that. We will now have an update on the October 25th, 2022 Education and Pupil Services Committee meeting. Director David Neal will read the summary. A detailed summary of the meeting, including public comments, can be found on board docs.
Thank you, President Brown. We had an informational item, agenda number 1, the multi-tiered system of support, or known as MTSS. The district administration, members of the Delaware County Intermediate Unit Teaching and Learning Department reviewed the K-8 MTSS audit report. The district utilized American Rescue Plan, or ARP, Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief, or ESSER, funds to perform the audit in late spring 2022. The process, research, and priority areas were presented. This item was once again informational. Agenda item number 2, which requires board action at this meeting, was the adoption of the textbooks Get Ready, Sail, and Soar. This is for elementary English learners to be implemented in the next school year, 2023-2024. The new program published by Vista Higher Learning is aligned with the WIDA English Language Development Standards Framework. The adoption would be over 6 years, so it's a 6-year digital resources. All necessary district paperwork was completed. There were no public comments at this committee meeting.
Thank you very much, Director Neal. We will now have an update on the October 25th, 2022 Finance and Operations Committee meeting. Director Warsavage, my co-chair, will read the summary. A detailed summary of the meeting, including public comments, can be found on board docs.
Thank you very much, President Brown. We had several items on the agenda. First one up was capital projects update. That was informational. District administration provided an update on various capital projects completed during the summer of 2022. The second item on the agenda will require board action. That was also another part of the capital projects update. District administration made recommendations for new projects to be completed over the remainder of the 2022-2023 school year and in the summer of 2023. Third item on the agenda summary was weapon detection systems. That was informational. District administration revisited the weapon detection systems that were discussed during the September 27th committee meeting. Administration will review the possibility of implementing weapon detection systems throughout the district. Fourth item on the agenda summary was 2023-2024 budget, Act 1 timeline. That was also informational. The business office reviewed important deadlines associated with the 2023-2024 budget timeline and discussed future steps. Fifth item on the agenda summary was policies, and that will require board action this evening. Adoption of the updated policy 707, use of school facilities. There were three pieces of public comment, but as has been mentioned before, all that information can be found at board docs.
Thank you very much, Director Warsavage. Next, we'll have the instruction and curriculum report. Vice President Fields.
The instruction and curriculum report is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. The personnel report. Director Mitchell.
Thank you, President Brown. The personnel report is in the hands of each board member, and before I move for its adoption, I would like to congratulate our retirees and wish them a safe and healthy retirement. I'd also like to welcome, there are 14 new appointees to the Upper Darby School District family. Thank you for stepping in after the start of the school year to serve our students. And I also want to congratulate those staff members that are moving from temporary full-time employees to permanent professional employees within the school district. Also, there's one other item of note that I just want to point out. Continuously, because of the staffing shortages, staff members have had to fill in and take on duty when they're otherwise supposed to be having a prep period. And I just wanted to thank all the teachers in the district at this time who are doing that. And we really, really appreciate you filling in those blanks for our students and providing the best learning experience that we can provide this year. And after that, I move for the adoption of the personnel report.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you for seconding. Are there any comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carries. The policy report, Director Desnoyers.
The policy report is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Yes.
I have a quick summary of the changes being made to policy 707.
Thank you.
Use of school facilities. During the September Finance and Operations Committee meeting, the board decided to move forward with 4 updates to policy 707 to better serve the needs of the community and the district. In addition, administration is making corresponding updates to 4 administrative regulations, 707 AR1, 707 AR2, 707 AR3, and 707 AR4. The updates to the policy include creating a limited exception to rental fees for youth activities that meet designated criteria. Second, updates to reflect the fact that the district has moved to an online use of facilities application process, Facilitron. It should be mentioned that any members of the community that require computing resources to complete the online application process may contact the business office. Third, incorporation of lessons learned since the 2020 restructuring of the district Upper Darby Township relationship. And fourth, setting up a limited exception to typical and normal custodial fees during those hours that night custodians are on duty and school is not in session.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Desnoyers, for providing that summary. Are there any other comments from the board? Are there any other comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. The transportation report is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. The facilities report, the use of facilities report, and the donation report are in the hands of each board member and have been made available to the public. I move for their adoption.
Second.
Are there any comments from the board? Yes.
Yeah, thank you, President Brown. In the facilities report, there's a change order for the general contractor, Aronimink Elementary renovation, for the east side grading and bus loop for $131,000, approximate. I'm just curious if someone from the administration team could explain, like, isn't this built into the general fund? Why is now the grading and additional bus loop? Because wasn't that in the original plan? If that could be explained, why the district is spending $131,000 on that.
So in any construction project, as you go through designs, whether it be with your architect and engineer, there are certain unforeseen circumstances that come up through that design process. In this specific instance, as they started working on the grading of the front of the building, as it worked back towards the side of the building, there were issues identified where we believed that we could actually improve the design and help with the slope so it was not as steep, and it was deemed to be a better design to go forward with this change order.
Thank you for that explanation. I know some taxpayers may see that large order and wonder, why isn't that built into the original project? So I appreciate that explanation.
We're hiring a construction management service to see through the end of the Aronimink project. I'm curious, and this kind of leads into another question, so I'll get them both done. I'm just wondering if they've said anything about the timeline for the completion. They may not be committed yet, but if they've given any kind of indication. Also, I know we're doing this because and I'm looking for the proper name, just give me a second. Our assistant manager of facilities capitals programs left because he got an offer. And going forward, are we going to have language in our contracts for our vendors and for some of the folks that we hire into these positions that prevents that kind of departure, so that we kind of protect ourselves, we don't have this kind of interruption and that sort of thing?
So the first part of this is that we, as we'll explain later on in other meetings tonight, we've been informed that one of the key aspects of the Aronimink project will be the basement area and electrical work, and we hope to find out in the next month or so that that's on task to be completed. But we've been informed by the general contractor on that job, the president that we've met with in this room, that it should be on path still. The interior of the building should be ready to go by August of '23, and we're still working toward that. I think you're referring to a non-compete clause. It's rare that we have any UDSD member in the Upper Darby School District have a non-compete clause here in the school district. The individual that we had working for us received upwards of a $50,000 pay raise, and we could not compete with that. And it's something we can look into as it relates to construction projects. But here in the district side, we don't have compete clause typically for administrators in UDSD. So that's, I think, a little bit newer to our side of public education, but it's something we'll be looking into when we hire our own internal administrators handling construction projects.
But I'm also proposing for when contractors sign an agreement with us to do work, that they also have their end also has to be addressed. They can't make the offers.
Understood.
Is that something we can have?
We're looking into that already with our attorneys on the moving forward. I think what typically would happen is most Upper Darby School District tries to do things in the least expensive manner. We made it to this point spending millions of dollars less on this project by hiring our own administration. Typically on a project like this, I think roughly a firm would be north of $3 million or close to $3 million to oversee this project. We weren't anywhere near that, obviously, with one person overseeing the project. So we were trying to be fiscally responsible to the community. Moving forward, typically you would have a construction management firm running this, and then that non-compete would exist on that end. But if we do move forward in this direction, hiring an administrator again, we would certainly make that part of the process on both ends.
Thanks, Dr. McGarry.
Thank you for your questions, Directors Neal and Vice President Fields. Are there any other comments from the board? Okay. Are there comments from the public? And I think, Mr. Marshallak, I think you have a question that you can proceed with. Thank you, sir.
Yep. There's one comment tonight, came in at 6:11 p.m. from Mr. Greg Reichard. Forgive me if I pronounced it incorrectly. 606 Foss Avenue in Drexel Hill. The comment is, my name is for the Use Facilities Report. My name is Greg Reichert, and I'm on the board of directors for the Drexel Hill Raiders. In addition, I also serve as a basketball and lacrosse director of our organization. I'm concerned about the impact that the proposed custodian fees will have on our organization and families. We greatly appreciate the strides that the district and the school board have made in recognizing the positive impact that youth activities have on the children in our community. With that said, we believe that the proposed custodian fees will greatly impact our families' ability to continue to allow their children to play youth sports and will make it very difficult for us to run a viable and successful sports program. This winter alone, the proposed fees for our basketball program could cost us well over $10,000. Because of this, we would be forced to take one of the following actions. Number one, increase our fees. Over 90% of our members live in Upper Darby Township, with the majority being school district students. We fear that increasing our fees will make it very difficult for our families to afford to sign up their children. Number two, reduce our programming. For so many of our children, sports has become not just a chance for them to learn and exercise, but to also socialize with their peers outside of school and make positive connections with adults. Coming off the years that our children experienced with the pandemic, we do not need to reduce their time together. If anything, we need to increase it. As an organization, we recognize this is not an easy problem to solve. Our hope is that we and other youth organizations can work with the district and the school board so that all parties can continue to do the great work that they do. Thank you for all that you do for our children and community. End of comment.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Are there any other comments from the public? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying aye opposed and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying aye abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. The Finance and Budget Report, Director Dr. Haig. Sorry, I got to remember the two Ds.
The Finance and Budget Report is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying aye opposed and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying aye abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. That takes us to our collateral assignment reports.
There'll be an in-person meeting December 7th for the community college liaisons like myself and other folks in other schools. So I'll report on that after that meeting. There was also I forget the proper name for it, but they had superintendents and board members for every school district, their kind of dinner, to see what the community college was doing. And they had a report on the campus going up down the street. They're actually still raising money for that, but the programs and stuff they're going to be offering are pretty exciting. I do have a PowerPoint presentation from that I can forward. I thought I saw it come into the entire board, but if it didn't, I'll forward it to everybody and forward it to Rhonda so she can upload it to the appropriate place on the website. So that's it. But it was a good presentation. There's a lot of, as far as like the dual enrollment programs, there's a lot of really amazing stuff. Not just, electrical contractor and carpentry, but also teaching and nursing. It's really neat stuff.
Thank you, Vice President Fields. Now my computer's loaded everything. Thank you for that report on Delaware County Community College. The DCIU?
Thank you, President
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
The DCIU met for its normal board meeting on November 2nd. We approved the normal, staffing, different staffing thing and some other things. But of note, the Head Start program, we recently just had a review from the federal government, which I participated into it. So in addition to the 2 meetings at the DCIU, I also serve on the Head Start Policy Council as the board liaison, and I attend both of those meetings every month in addition to that, not to toot my own horn, but it was a lot this month. The DCIU, I sent across the connection. There really was nothing major. It was really normal things. But it was a great board meeting anyway. So, and our next meeting is not this coming Wednesday, the following Wednesday. So thank you.
Yep, thank you. Thank you for that report, Director Mitchell. Legislative Council, do you have the summary that they sent out? Do you have anything to report from that? I know they sent out a summary. I was on it, but I don't have it in front of me.
I believe if I do have it, it would be in my inoperable laptop, but
Okay, so we'll defer the summary until our next meeting. We'll make a special report and provide a summary of that, okay?
yes, please.
All right. The Mendenhall Tyson Scholarship Committee, Dr. Haig,
No update at this time.
okay? Home and School, pointing back to you, Dr. Ward Savage.
Thank you, President Brown. We had a meeting of the district home and school, I believe, on the 15th. It was, Dr. McGarry? 14th, thank you. If I'm not mistaken, we pretty much just updated the district home and school heads on the recent agenda items that we had in the committee meetings. Among them, finding out creative ways of being able to celebrate our different school communities, among them Sencal Elementary as well as Aronimink. We'll get into that a little later this evening. But Dr. McGarry, was there anything else that you wanted to add to that?
We try to provide an agenda. We're working on trying to have, if home schools want to add to this Google Doc that we're working on, and they can ask questions. Some of the questions that were asked in advance of that meeting were things about home and schools being able to raise the appropriate funds, typically that have gone on for years, for scholarships at the scholarship night, asking for how to handle money, home and schools, how to handle money with the school and collect that money appropriate with the school. And then vaccinations was one of the questions that a home and school parent asked if we're going to be moving toward, because the CDC had come out and there were discussions recently about requiring the COVID vaccination as a condition of enrollment in schools. And I had shared that we are not in the process of doing that right now, but I'm aware that that's been a conversation that's come up. Other agenda items that we covered, I try to provide the board with the agenda as well. Facilities updates, we've talked about Aronimink and the Senco, the turf field and projects at Drexel Hill and Beverly Hills, 8201. Reviewed the RACP funding that's now up to $3 million, not $2.5 million. We learned we received another dollar amount about that. Showed the capital improvements in the projects that we go through in board meetings to make sure that the home and schools get that information. Provided our what we're going to be talking about tonight in advance of tonight's meeting, because it's an unusual month. Provided them the MTSS audit information, the Evolved Weapons Detection presentation, shared a recent visit that we went on to Reading School District, and I'll get to that in a second. Shared them the Act 1 timeline and budget, use of facilities policy 707. Mr. Desnoyers, so the home and school is aware of that. Our literacy improvement, I see Kristen O'Neill in the back of the room has done an unbelievable job with Wish Tree, reading that we're doing on Wednesday nights with our youth, which has been great. We're averaging over 100 students. We have over 700 students signed up for after-school tutoring at the elementary school level. We reviewed that. And some of the real conversations were about making sure that the Upper Darby School District doesn't go down and make a knee-jerk, quick reaction to say, hey, because right now there are concerns with safety and security, that we just go out there and put these things in. There were a lot of concerns from some parents on the home and school that if we can hold on to keeping school as warm and welcoming, as open and friendly, these are my words, but I think I'm trying to summarize it, and not move too quickly that way, they'd like us to keep that going. One of the other comments was, I know that you've gone and seen what people are doing, but maybe you want to consider going and finding out why people are not going in that direction. So I thought there was some good feedback. We don't always have to agree in these conversations, these meetings, but I appreciate the feedback that we get, and I want to make sure that we share it publicly and there's not a secret or hidden agenda. One of the comments that was made too was this idea that like maybe we hold meetings just to say that we're holding meetings or getting information. I had shared, Board President Brown, from my perspective in the meeting that we've attended, that in these positions, we're often entrusted to make decisions under the current school code for safety and security. We technically don't have to go out and get certain approvals. We've been asked to do these things and handle it, and that may have come across in a way that we don't want to get feedback. It's not that we don't want to get feedback, but in the trip that we took, what was interesting in a very diverse school community with diverse leadership, that their attitude was, our number one objective is to keep a gun out of the school and to keep it safe, and we did not go out there and survey everybody to get that information. We felt that we've been given this opportunity, we know what's going on, and we need to make a safe decision. And I shared that, not to say that we wouldn't get feedback, but I do want to say that there was some pushback on it being delivered that way.
Right, and I was there with you, and they expressed the fact that we over-communicate or we we do too much engagement, which they said can slow down the process. They simply implement it for safety reasons, and they don't make apologies for that. They simply put it in place to try to protect their students, which is what, our goal is as well, so.
Yeah, and just from there, I followed up and just shared that obviously we would take a different approach here in Upper Darby School District, that we are communicative and open, and we'll do that. It was interesting that Reading has over 4,500 students. We were there together, how it processed through in 30 minutes. I shared this with the home and schools, that we might pilot this, shared that I met with the businesses. I have asked some home and school parents to join me at the next meeting with the business district. Mr. Ganges has said yes, and Mr. Reichert, who just commented, his wife said if the time were right, she would join, so that'd be great. We have representation from Drexel Hill and Beverly Hills Middle School to be a part of hearing that. And then I'm working with some student groups on this communication as well. So that's the totality of what was there. I also try to provide the home and schools articles. The recent articles I provided the home and schools were on massive learning loss in COVID, why people are quitting their jobs and the impact on education, how New Jersey passed the bill on handling learning loss, how colleges are cutting, Cabrini in particular is cutting staff, the Southeast Delco unfortunate situation that occurred there, and then at that time there was an unfortunate police shooting in the community. And I just want the community to know what we're dealing with. So that was the entire night.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. PSBA, and I'll just give a brief summary, then I'll toss it over to Director Mitchell. She and I did attend the PSBA School Leadership Conference earlier this month, and I thought it was well done. It was in a different place. It was not in Hershey as it normally is. They have a different location up in the Poconos, and I thought it was well done. It was, the first one coming out of COVID. I thought it was a lot of good content. I did share that with the entire board, all of the presentations that they did upload to the app. So I thought it was well done. I was able to help introduce some of the speakers and facilitators in my PSBA board leadership role, on their governing board role. But I thought it was very well done, and I'll toss it over to Dr. Mitchell.
Sure. Thank you, President Brown. I went under the auspices of the DCIU, but I did also think it was well done, very informative to rub shoulders with other school board directors throughout the state, vendors and superintendents alike. Everybody brings something to the table, and I think it's really important to go and seek out, whether it's at a conference or, sometimes I'm hoping they start to have the evening ones that sometimes they have in local school districts, where you can really learn from each other. But one of the most impactful sessions that I went to was one that was hard to sit in. It was about a shooting that occurred at a high school football game. And the superintendent and their assistant superintendent and some board leaders were there. It was a small school district in western Pennsylvania, and you may have seen it on the news. I don't remember the name of the school district off the top of my head, but it is in the presentations that President Brown so nicely shared with all of us. I think it was Lackawanna School District.
Yes,
anyway,
that's it.
yeah. they actually showed the video of the incident as it was unfolding, with spectators just sort of milling around and things like that. And in this instance, the threat was not a student with a weapon. It was a parent who came and fatally shot another parent. And these are real problems that are happening even in small, close-knit communities. And what I found to be so moving was to see the staff and how they just really went to what they needed to do. They protected students. They went, the assistant superintendent actually went up to the sound booth at the football game to try to announce. The biggest problem was at that emergency with all of those things happening with a shooting, the people on the field couldn't hear that there was an emergency. The people in the stands couldn't hear. They had not heard the gunshot. So really implementing, and they came up with a plan of how to implement to get people out of the stadium in a situation like that. And they put in so many proactive measures. And one of the most critical things that learning from a board perspective that it said to me was the superintendent reiterated over and over again that his board was quiet for the weekend. They let the superintendent and the staff process the situation, come up with a plan. They opened school on Monday. They held a home football game on Friday with proactive measures to keep our students safe the next Friday, because the board, the community members, local elected officials, they left them with the police to do their job. And that was one of the things. And if you get a chance to review the presentation, I think it is something, as we're discussing the things, they did put in a weapons detection system. It has had a very positive impact, but it was not anything they were ever expecting. He even showed, you could see the video of his own family at the football, because just like our administrators, they bring their families to these football games. So I thought it was something, very timely and something that I wanted to bring up here tonight just because of what we're talking about of late. So thanks again.
Really good summary. Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. I'll just share one session that was influential for me. I mean, I'm an engineer by trade, so I went to the session that had to do with a district, I believe it was the Harrisburg area, that was hacked with ransomware. So they got into their servers and shut down. They had a ransom that they wanted a certain amount of money, and the superintendent and his director of technology gave the presentation on how they handled it, and they was proud the way that they facilitated it, and this went on for months, and they never paid the ransom, and they finally got control back to their service. So I was looking at it from a different perspective as a cybersecurity engineer. They had some things in place that made them vulnerable, and I immediately emailed Dr. McGarry and our director of technology and said, please tell me, we have these things in place, and, we're in much better shape than they were. But, it was more of a cautionary tale that it can happen to anyone, because they thought they was protected, and they was touting the credentials of their director of technology, and yet, they had left, some holes, some vulnerable spots that shouldn't be, and I think they have tightened that up. So, it was helpful for districts to hear that, and I was just surprised that they waited, like maybe 3 months before they told the public, about it. And, I don't think that would fly in our area. We would have to, at least let people know what's going on while they were still trying to assess it and things like that. But very good conference, as Director Mitchell said, and, I highly encourage our colleagues to go to one, and I think you'll have a different perspective, and to hear from other school board directors and superintendents and people in all capacities in the district. It's great to hear their perspective, on school districts. So thank you for that, and thank you for allowing us to go. Policy liaisons, Director Desnoyers or Director Neal, anything?
Yes, President Brown.
Sure.
The board finalized some significant updates to Policy 707, use of school facilities this evening. I was then concerned by the comment the gentleman from Drexel Raiders, is it Mr. Reichart, submitted, in that it is not the board's goal to use renting district facilities to maximize revenue. So I will be following up with administration to see what, to get a clearer picture of the situation Mr. Reichart mentioned, and see if there's anything that can be done going forward to, within reason, to better accommodate the needs of facility users in the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Desnoy. It's very well said, and I agree with you. I think you mentioned $10,000 for the custodial fee, so thank you for agreeing to research that and get clarity on that. Communications, I know Directors Dr. Haig and Directors Mitchell put out a great newsletter, so anything regarding communication?
Dr. Haig, I propose that we have a combined November and December board meeting summary that would come out after. We have another board meeting in 2 weeks. I'm actually going to be on a family vacation for the next week, so I wouldn't be able to help you anyway. But I do think we could combine both of them. It's such a short timeline, and we'll try to get that one out very
Sounds
quickly
good.
with Ms. Buford's help. Thank you.
Sounds good. Up there, all right, it's okay. It looks like Director Lamar Murphy is not here, so we'll skip that one. Is there any old business from board members? Director Neal, David Neal.
President Brown, yeah, thank you. I apologize. The finance and budget report kind of crept up on me, and I forgot to ask my question. So with the approval of the purchase of the property adjacent to the Clifton Heights Middle School, what would be the next step in the process of that project? And so I just wanted to get an update for the public on, okay, now that we purchase that project, what does that open us up to as our next step? So what do we still have to do?
So we have a unique situation with that property owner to have an agreement of sale and providing that opportunity to that gentleman that if the cost of the pipe going down Springfield Road, I mean, the reality with that project remains that we have to have an engineer in the next month turn around the cost of a pipe going down the frontage of Springfield Road to handle the stormwater management. We are waiting to get that cost. If that cost comes in so high, we need to come back to the board and the public and be honest about the original thought of maybe a $70 million middle school. If that pipe is $10, $20 million, that's an expensive undertaking. So in order to get the process started of that pipe and then getting into the PennDOT process for road improvements, if the board remembers and the public may not know, Clifton Heights required us to make an improvement off of Sycamore Avenue, a right turn hand lane coming off of that. That required us to purchase that property. In order for us to get PennDOT approval, we had to have an agreement of sale on that property to get moving on either one of these projects. If we have kind of like a moving settlement date, if the project is so expensive and the cost of this is so much that financially where we are, it's a project we have to reconsider, we wouldn't kick the property owner out necessarily of that area. Our hope is that we do end up buying the property and taking it and the project moves forward, but we want to be smart, not kick a property owner out at the same time of finding out what the cost of that pipe is going down Springfield Road. That's where we are with it.
I appreciate that update. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the question. Any other old business from board members? Yes.
Just really quick, Dr. McGarry, do we know what month we'll get an update on the updated cost of that pipe and the project? And the only reason why I'm asking is because I know at the IU, we're doing a renovation in addition to the Fallcroft project, and it is currently at 95 million. So I have concerns that the construction costs have gone up significantly. And, you know, what month do you think we'll be getting an update on that information?
I provided the board an update, I think it was last Friday or the Friday before, that we got good news. Part of the partial news that we got from our engineer, the new engineer that we have working on that, is that the EDUs, so literally the number of toilets that have to flush in the building, because the building is going to be right around 800 students, we were able to reduce the number of flow into that pipe. That's a positive. That will help the calculations. And that they reported to us that they're moving pretty quickly, and they would hope that December, January, that they would have an answer on the cost of that pipe. Well, then, just so everybody's aware of too, we are working in grants too. The board has supported the district and Clifton in going after grants to what are called multiple modality grants. Essentially, that when there's a project of need like this, that the school district can partner with the borough and go for grant opportunities that would help offset the cost of the pipe. Upwards of $5-6 million in grants we're going after that may reduce the cost of this pipe if we earn the grant dollars. Hopefully, we'll see how that gets split with the borough if that comes through. Like I said, we also were able to meet with Rep. Zabel, Rep. Curry, and Senator Kearney, with Board President Brown and Vice President Fields, to get in RACP, which is a public improvement on the on-site work. So a lot of stuff, complicated. But hopefully in the next month or so, we'll have more information on that pipe, come back, talk about it, and then if it's financially realistic, move at a much faster pace.
Thank you. I know sometimes we talk about these things, and sometimes the public isn't sure it's actually going to happen, so it's nice to know when the next update will be. So I'll look for that after the new year.
Yeah, just as an understanding too, I try to give the home and school all this information too. I think it's a lot. Sometimes it's like drinking out of a fire hose. But I do try to keep a facilities updated each home and school, district home and school meeting as well.
Thank you for the question. Any other business from board members? Any other old business? Yes, Director Ward Savage.
Thank you, President Brown. I know over the last several days, members of the administration as well as some board members have been visiting some of our schools to partake in Thanksgiving traditions and reading to kids. I know in particular myself and Director Mitchell happened to visit Sankow Elementary, and it was my first time being able to share in their little taste of Thanksgiving and spend a good chunk of time talking to the teaching staff there and just getting a feel for that spirit, that camaraderie, that sense of family, and it was just a pleasure to be in their presence.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Is there any other old business from board members? Is there any new business from board members? Okay, hearing none. We are now at the time for the public hearing. We will call on Upper Darby School District residents who signed in to address the board in the order in which they signed in, followed by emailed and phoned comments. We would ask that you come forward, give your name and address, and present your comments in the 3-minute time limit. In accordance with Policy 903, the time allotted for general comments, both in person and submitted comments, will not exceed 1 hour. Okay. So we will begin with Michelle Schofield.
Good evening, President Brown, school board directors, student council, Dr. McGarry, Upper Darby staff and stakeholders, and resident leaders. I would also like to say thank you to Kristen O'Neill. My son and I, we chime in on Wednesday to read the book Wish Tree, and that's a tree tender who just participated in planting trees here in Upper Darby Township. The Wish Tree book is a delight, so thank you so much for choosing that book for our township and our residents. I came here before you tonight to talk about Stonehurst Hills Elementary. So I live in Stonehurst Hills neighborhood, and there's been twice this year that I have attended or been inside of Stonehurst Hills to work on election day, and I've observed conditions that are really, really concerning to me. And I've had a conversation with the school board, with the principal and the vice principal about those concerns, and they're not being addressed. So that's why I'm here tonight. I know this could have been done during an email, but I've had verbal conversations, and I think everybody needs to know what's going on. So I'm going to go through this really quickly because I know I only have 3 minutes. So I'm just going to outline it, and then we can talk about it later, privately, however. So the first thing I want to talk about is the flag. The American flag that flies outside their school is torn. It shouldn't be. So I'm requesting that it be replaced ASAP. The second thing is the lights outside the school. In July, we had a shooting, and since then, the children, a lot of the students still convene around the school, and they climb up on top of the roof. There's a secondary roof to the building that the students climb up on. They hide behind the trailer, so when they're fighting or out there doing mischievous work, we've called the police, and the students are hiding in different places. The police are not going to get out and climb on the roof and go up behind the trailers to look for them. But it's been an ongoing problem where the neighbors on Timberlake are calling to make these complaints. The second thing is the lights inside of the building. Their lights are motion sensors, so when you walk under them, you know, for energy conservation, when you walk under them, they turn on. When they're not detecting a person, they actually turn off. So in their lunchroom is like a multi-purpose room. So it's a lunchroom and whatever room. So we use that room twice a year for election day, and it is dim. I brought this concern to the principal and the vice principal and some other teachers and staff inside the building, and I came back in November, and the problem still exists. So if they're putting in a request for new lights to be outside and inside, it has not been met yet. The next thing on my list is the employee Josh. Outstanding employee, he's solo. So he is like their environmental engineer. So he is the one that unpacks the trucks, clean up, move things around, getting things prepared for the meeting. He's solo. He needs help. He needs help. That was my 3 minutes. I'm sorry. Yep. All right. I'll put the next things in the email because the other things are safety issues that you and I've talked about as far as the crossing guards.
Thank you very much, Ms. Schofield.
You're welcome.
All right. Next, Edward Ganges.
Edward Ganges, 1905 Green Hill Road, Lansdowne, PA, Upper Darby. Good evening, everybody. Last time I was here, I took a long time, gave the preamble. So nice. Okay. We're getting close to that time where we're going to move from cooperative engagement with the parents in the district to oppositional engagement and hopefully not adversarial. Here's the problem. We were promised that we would have a survey team put together and that the parents would be engaged in a survey. We have heard nothing, okay? So what we have heard is that you've gone forward, the board has gone forward to look at solutions or implementations of weapon systems, and what a great job they're doing elsewhere, where we specifically asked you to look into opportunities to not engage weapon systems and talk to other superintendents, other states, other city leaders to see how they have implemented positive outcomes. We have heard zero reports on any investigation into alternate positive outcomes and positive paths to avoid weapon systems and protect, bottom line, the psychological aspects of our children. We believe that implementing weapon systems will cause psychological harm to these students long term. No one's looked into it. We still anticipate that we can work in cooperation to investigate these things. We were invited to, again, meet with business leaders who are complaining that our kids are stealing their stuff, and we want to engage them in positive after-school activities that would also give our students a positive outlook. Now, again, no disrespect to Ms. Mitchell and the rest of the board. Mr. Brown, you go, you see these presentations, you do these conferences, and people say, it's been another tragic shooting. I don't want to be the only person in America to not have a empathy or sympathy. I have it. But for every day you don't hear about a shooting, over 100,000 schools had no events. Every day you don't hear about an event, a minimum of 44,000 non-events have happened. Every day you don't hear about an incident in Upper Darby, an incident didn't happen. The no incidents with our children far outweigh incidents with our children. I know you have to be safe, but I do not want Upper Darby to be the next person making a prison out of our high school and, God forbid, our middle school. I do not want Upper Darby to be the next prison. I want it to be the last prison, only if absolutely necessary, and only if the board has shown absolute effort to do everything else that is humanly and psychologically possible to provide these children with positive outcomes. We would like, on a different note, cell phones to be banned from the schools.
Thank
All
you.
the
I'm sorry.
teachers-
That's your 3 minutes. I apologize. Sorry.
Okay.
That's your 3 minutes.
Oh, and 3 minutes within a 4-hour conversation, you say this isn't a dictatorship, but you run it like one. If you're not going to listen to the parents, if you're not going to give us the time to express all of our concerns and take them seriously, then what good is it? That's how you go from cooperation to other means necessary.
Michael Benty.
Yeah, I have to agree with him with the 3 minutes. I mean, it's not that many parents here. There's only a few of us here, but I'm going to get right into the meat of what I'm here for. So the metal detectors, I definitely agree with Ed. We definitely need to do some more research on it. I'm going to tell you from experience. Well, quick question. Any one of you board members went to a school that had metal detectors? Okay. All right. So I'm going to tell you my experience. I went to John Bartram High School, right? And there was one incident, and they brought metal detectors in. And I'm going to tell you like this. It was not a good feeling at all. Things psychologically, like it just didn't register with me. And I could sit here and tell you my life story and how I ended up. It wasn't good, but I was able, the grace of God, to turn it around before it was too late. But metal detectors is definitely a no-go. At the very least, we should definitely be doing the research, looking at the pros and cons, and don't take this lightly. So the next thing I want to talk about is the IXL program. Is that still active? So the IXL for reading.
No, only
Okay. So
social studies, Spanish, and ELA is out.
yeah, why is that? Because there's research that show the IXL effect on student achievements. Did you guys look into that? And so these are some questions you guys need to look into. In other words, did IXL schools perform better on PSSA than non-IXL school? The answer is yes, right? So why would we be taking away the IXL program? Another question you guys need to look at is, did IXL school receive higher school index values than non-IXL schools? The answer is yes. So why are we taking this program away from our students? And then the last question is, what is the association between IXL usage and school performance? Right? So these are some of the many questions that we need to look at before we just, I'm just now finding out that IXL is not offered anymore, we just got math. Why is that? And why we was not informed? And then the last, before I go, I heard you say something about something in regards to when it comes to the people. You said the people trusted you to make decision on behalf of the safety. You said something along the line. So you're gonna, in other words, you're just gonna make the decision. So you didn't say that. Okay, I thought I heard you say that, because yeah, because the people didn't vote for you. We did. I mean, not saying that we wouldn't vote for you, but you wasn't voted in by the people. All right, so thank you very much for your time. And Mr. Ed Brown, please, let's try to raise this from 3 to at least at minimal 5 minutes for the parents to come and speak. Thank you.
President Brown, I just wanted to defend Superintendent McGarry, Dr. McGarry. The comment that the resident's referring to was his reference to the Reading School District Administration. So he was not speaking for himself, but he was speaking towards what they said to him.
Yes, I was there, so that's correct. He was saying that they made decisions that they felt was best for safety, for the good of the cause. They decided to do. That's what their superintendent said. We explained to them how we engaged the public, the students, the teachers, and they said, you guys, that's overdoing it. Like, you need to, put safety as a priority. And they again, I'll repeat what I said earlier. They said that slows down the process. So I think that's what Dr. McGarry stated. But Dr. McGarry, you can repeat what you said if you want to just provide clarity on that.
Look, I think, it's not a back and forth meeting. This is comment only, as we explained. In my opinion, it's unfortunate that I'm hearing a tone and tenor that's a little bit shocking to me. I don't think it's appropriate for me to try to defend myself. I think my actions will speak for themselves. People can formulate their opinion. I'm a very collaborative person. I never said for 1 second that I would make a decision. I said the opposite, and I shared what was shared with me the other night. We can agree to disagree, but if that's the tone and tenor some individuals would like to take, my actions will speak for themselves.
And the last thing I want to say is it is true that the 9 of us are the elected school board, and that's our choice as the superintendent. So that's who we chose to be our superintendent. Is there a motion for the adjournment of the meeting?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.